Good afternoon. Thank you.
That.
My wife and I have been following your work since 2006. Been on several cruises. We subscribe to the twice monthly CDs and faithfully listen month after month after month. We've also gotten involved in several Abraham groups and neighborhood groups. And they show videos, listen to CDs, and then discuss them. One thing that's been bothering me for a long while is I seem to remember in the early days of my listening that Abraham said we shouldn't be listening to any bootleg tapes, videos, or so on, because listening to them is promoting a sense of lack. So each time somebody pops in, a video that they got from someplace, copied off of the internet or someplace, I sort of sit there and cringe and I think, am I promoting a sense of lack? And I wonder if that's still the current status of Abraham's advice on that, or has it changed because it's prolific out there? You can look up anything you want on the internet and YouTube on any subject, type it in and get an answer. And I've resisted doing that, thinking about the sense of lack.
We said some time ago that the internet, in the way it is unfolding, is the closest thing to replicate in a way that you can really understand how law of attraction really works. That you can formulate a question and almost immediately find some access to some information about it. We agree with you that it is prolific, and we think it is a good thing that it is. We think that whatever you want should come easily to you. In the early days, when you go back before internet and when things were being produced and delivered and so forth in a different format, we had conversations with Jerry and Esther about the importance of the vibrational accuracy of the work. As we speak through Esther, we offer to her a block of thought, and she, as you know, at an unconscious level, finds the words that are the equivalent of the block of thought. And over time, we've been able to fine-tune with her. Sometimes you'll hear her response to our projection when she will say, begin again. And that's because what she's beginning to translate could be said in a better way, in an easier to understand way. So together with Esther's and Jerry's and many of you cooperation, we've created a language that is, from our perspective, near perfection in terms of vibrational accuracy. So in those early days, sometimes people were taking the information, melding it together with other information that was vibrationally inaccurate. Jerry would bring to us frequently a book that someone had cobbled together, and it would have some of this and some of that and some of that, and as he would read the tenets of the book, we would say to him, someone who believes that cannot possibly believe that. There is such a vibrational variance in that understanding. And so their intention, at our encouragement, was to keep the message pure. But over time, what has happened is, because of those like you, and because of the glorious internet, and because of the enormous appetite for what we've got going on together in this format, there is so much information that is available that it is unlikely that anyone couldn't get right to the heart of what the vibrational accuracy of this message is. And then those beloveds like you continue to come, as you're doing right now, and have another conversation and another as we continue to take thought into that new place. The only discomfort about the existence of that body of work is that it really is old news, because everything that is new is happening right here and now. That's why you're looking for an update. But you can feel vibrational accuracy in things. Esther and some of her lovely friends who travel with her went a few years ago to the Martin Luther King monument, and they spent a little over an hour there. And as Esther walked and read and walked and read and walked and read and walked and read, she wept at the vibrational sameness of so much of that she was reading that had been carved in stone on those walls. And she thought, oh, it's going to be all right. It's going to be all right, because there is so much that is vibrationally accurate in those words that are right there in plain sight for everyone to see. So there is no guardedness. We don't want you to feel uncomfortable. Yesterday, that's what we were talking about. Don't feel uncomfortable about your participation in anything, and trust your own guidance system, that if it feels good to you, it is a good thing for you.
Thank you.
Something more?
Yes. Yesterday's talk was a lot about alignment, getting into the meditation and dialing down to zero. When you used the term we had used before, reboot, which really struck home with us, because we have to do that.
It's about putting yourself in a position where your resistance can be non-existent for a little bit, where the true momentum of who you are can then be received by you in the early subtleties of it, and then allowed to increase until you're fully up to speed with who you really are. And you can do that in 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and the topic of alignment also brings to it, I don't know if you want to talk about this or not, something in my vortex I'd like to know if it's there. I'm struggling with an issue. Two of my vertebrae have come out of alignment. They're pinching a nerve. I've been to see the surgeon. He says, yeah, I can fix it. It'll take nuts and bolts and screws, but it's your call. You can live with what you got if you want to. You try a chiropractor, it might go right back into place. But
here's the thing, and we are happy to discuss this with you. And we would not ever discourage anyone from following the advice of their physician, provided their physician has rebooted.
Do surgeons ever reboot?
It could happen. And here's what we mean by that, because think about it. This is a really good conversation in light of what we've talked about so far. So let's say that this is the current state of being, and you are feeling discomfort because there is a nerve being pinched and it does not feel good. And so, of course, you're living a condition in a physical manifestation for which you are seeking a remedy. So when we say you can't get there from there, what we mean is that when you ask a question from that place, the answers can only be so sophisticated. It's sort of like doing surgery with a chainsaw in comparison with doing this reboot that we're talking about, where you find satisfaction even though nothing's changed for a little while, so that you let your satisfaction for a little while not be dependent upon this pain going away. You find some way of adjusting to that, and so that your alignment and your pain control are two separate things. And so you are finding some satisfaction and some satisfaction. Now, this is a subject of vibrations turning to thoughts and thoughts turning to things. So somewhere along in there, once you've managed some satisfaction, some ease about it, then what happens is an idea will come into your mind, an idea that is so soft that it feels unimportant, like Esther thinking, oh, I want to go to that place because maybe they now have what I've been looking for. Just a thought about something that matters or doesn't matter, but it's just an idea. And when the thought came, she thought, oh yeah, that's what I want to do. And she could not get her shoes on fast enough and get in her car and get over there fast enough, because the idea felt so vivid to her that it almost felt certain that what she was looking for would be there. And when she got there, it was. And she nearly hugged the lady that was in the showroom. That lady thinks she's crazy, because Esther is so excited about things showing up just at the right time for Esther to be there, because she's not in that town very often. So something that feels so maybe interesting, not life-changing, interesting, provocative, maybe clarifying, soft, not this is what I've been looking for and looking for and looking for. As you rest in that, or even follow that inner being vibrational lead, follow it, then It will lead to something that will lead to something that will lead to something that will lead to something. And before you know it, you'll be standing before someone, because we do expect that there will be someone assisting you in this process with some sort of physical adjustment, manipulation, or surgery. We just want you to get there from there rather than from there. You'll know the difference. You'll know the difference. And meanwhile, there is satisfaction in knowing that it's going to be all right. There's satisfaction in knowing that. It's like there are things in your belief patterns that aren't helping you, that you don't even recognize aren't helping you. And you can't get rid of them because you can't identify them. And even if you did identify them, you would not be likely to get rid of them because you believe them. Does that make sense to you? But they're not helping you, but you believe them. But they're not helping you, but you believe them. But after a few rebootings through meditation, then when an idea occurs to you, an idea that formerly you would have discounted because you didn't believe it, now you feel differently about it. And because you feel differently about it, it leads to a different thing that leads to a different thing and leads to a different thing and leads to a different thing. Because there are all kinds of ways to skin a cat. And the cat doesn't like it in whatever way you choose, but you get the sense of what we're talking about?
Yeah, and